What happens when a nation invades your homeland, bombs your cities, and forces you into exile? History answers, you wait for liberation. You endure occupation. You hope that someday someone else will free you. You do not, cannot, become the liberator of the nation that invaded you. The mathematics of war are unforgiving. The invaded nation becomes the victim. The invading nation becomes the aggressor. When the war ends, if you are fortunate, Allied forces liberate your country. You rebuild. You remember. But you remain the victim in the story. This is how every war works. Poland does not liberate Berlin. France does not march into Rome. The invaded do not become the liberators. By 1944, this rule has been validated across every theater of World War II. Nations that fall under occupation stay fallen until Allied armies arrive. Greek soldiers understand this. They watched Italy invade on October 28, 1940, a date that will be remembered as Oki Day. They fought back magnificently, the first Allied victory of the war. Then Germany arrived in April 1941, and Greece fell within weeks. Thousands of Greek soldiers escaped across the Mediterranean to Egypt. They reformed, they trained, they waited. Common sense says they would return to Greece when the Allies finally liberated the Balkans. They would fight to free their homeland. They would reclaim what Italy and Germany had stolen. But in September 1944, 3,300 Greek soldiers are about to do something no military historian predicted. They are going to Italy, not as prisoners, not as refugees, as liberators. They are going to free Italian cities from German occupation. They are going to walk streets that Italian soldiers once marched through on their way to invade Greece. They are going to be welcomed as heroes by the very people whose nation bombed Athens. The invaded are about to liberate the invaders. Colonel Thrasivoulos Tsakalotos is 47 years old in the autumn of 1944. He is a Hellenic army officer who has spent the last 3 years transforming broken men into soldiers again. Tsakalotos commanded artillery units during the Albanian campaign, the impossible Greek victory that stopped Mussolini's invasion cold in the mountains. He knows what Greek soldiers can accomplish when properly led. When Germany invaded Greece in April 1941, Tsakalotos fought until organized resistance collapsed. But unlike many officers who surrendered, he refused to accept occupation. Through 1941 and into early 1942, he evaded German patrols, moving between safe houses, waiting for an opportunity to escape. In 1942, Tsakalotos made his way across the Mediterranean to Egypt. He was one of thousands of Greek officers and soldiers who refused to remain under occupation, men who chose exile and uncertainty over submission. Egypt in 1942 is chaos. Thousands of Greek soldiers, sailors, and airmen have flooded into Alexandria and Cairo over the past year. They have nothing but the uniforms on their backs. Their nation is occupied. Their families are trapped under German and Italian rule. Many want to fight immediately, to do something, anything, rather than sit in refugee camps while Greece suffers. The British recognize an opportunity. Greece has proven itself in combat. Greek soldiers defeated Italy when everyone expected them to collapse in weeks. If properly equipped and organized, Greek forces could contribute to the Allied war effort. In 1942, Britain begins forming Greek military units from the refugees. The Royal Hellenic Navy gets destroyers. The Royal Hellenic Air Force gets squadrons, and the Hellenic Army gets the 3rd Greek Mountain Brigade. Tsakalotos takes command in 1943. His orders are clear. Build a combat-ready mountain infantry brigade from men who have not fought together as a unit in years. Men who speak the same language but come from different regiments, different backgrounds, different politics. Men who are angry, traumatized, desperate to fight, and potentially ungovernable. He has 3,377 soldiers. Most are veterans of the Albanian campaign. They know mountain warfare. They know how to fight outnumbered. They know how to endure cold, hunger, and impossible odds. But they have been in exile for years. Some have received no news from their families. Some know their villages have been destroyed. Some have lost everyone they loved to German reprisals. Chakalotos must turn grief and rage into disciplined combat effectiveness. The brigade trains in Tripoli, Lebanon through 1943 and into 1944. British instructors teach them to use British weapons: Lee Enfield rifles, Bren guns, 3-inch mortars. They practice assault tactics. They run mountain warfare exercises in terrain that reminds them of home. The soldiers wear British battle dress with Greek insignia, a blue and white patch on the shoulder. The Evzone fustanella is gone, replaced by practical combat uniforms. But the men are unmistakably Greek. By summer 1944, the 3rd Greek Mountain Brigade is ready. The question is, where will they fight? The obvious answer is the Balkans. British forces are supporting partisan movements in Yugoslavia and Greece. When Allied armies finally push into southeastern Europe, Greek units will naturally participate in the liberation of Greece. But in August 1944, British command makes a different decision. Field Marshal Harold Alexander commands Allied forces in Italy. His 8th Army has been fighting up the Italian peninsula for over a year. The campaign is brutal. Germans defend every mountain, every river, every village. Progress is measured in kilometers per month. In August 1944, Alexander's forces face the Gothic Line, Germany's last major defensive position south of the Po River. It runs across the northern Apennine Mountains from coast to coast. Hundreds of concrete bunkers, minefields, artillery positions carved into mountain sides, German troops who have been preparing defenses for months. Alexander needs more troops. Specifically, he needs mountain infantry, soldiers who can fight in terrain where tanks cannot operate and where conventional infantry struggles. He requests the 3rd Greek Mountain Brigade. Chakalotos receives his orders in late August. The brigade will deploy to Italy as part of 1st Canadian Corps. They will participate in the assault on Rimini, a critical city on the Adriatic coast that anchors the eastern end of the Gothic Line. When Chakalotos briefs his officers, the room is silent. Italy. They are going to fight in Italy. 4 years ago, Italian bombers flew over Athens and Piraeus, dropping bombs on civilian neighborhoods. 4 years ago, Italian artillery shelled Greek positions in the Albanian mountains. 4 years ago, October 28, 1940, Italy invaded Greece in an act of unprovoked aggression that killed thousands of Greeks. Now Greek soldiers are being sent to Italy, not for revenge, not to occupy, to liberate. The irony is staggering, but the orders are clear. The 3rd Greek Mountain Brigade boards ships in Alexandria in early September 1944. The Dutch ship MS Tegelberg and the SS Empress of Australia carry Greek soldiers across the Mediterranean. Destination: the Adriatic coast of Italy. The men do not know what to expect. They know they will fight Germans. They know the terrain will be mountains, familiar ground. They know British, Canadian, and Polish units will fight alongside them. What they do not know, cannot know, is that in 3 weeks, they will walk through liberated Italian streets while Italian civilians greet them as heroes. The invaded are about to become liberators. September 10th, 1944. The 3rd Greek Mountain Brigade lands at Ancona, Italy. You are a Greek mountain soldier. You step off the transport ship onto Italian soil. The irony is not lost on you. 4 years ago, your country was invaded by this nation. Now you are here to liberate it. The city of Rimini lies 40 kilometers north. Between you and Rimini, German defensive positions, minefields, and the most formidable mountain fortifications the Wehrmacht has built in Italy. Canadian Corps has been trying to break through the Gothic Line for weeks. Casualties are heavy. Progress is minimal. The Germans hold every advantage, prepared positions, clear fields of fire, artillery pre-ranged on every approach route. Your brigade is assigned to the 1st Canadian Division. Your mission? Assault German positions, defending the approaches to Rimini. September 12th, 1944. The brigade moves into position south of Rimini. Artillery pounds German lines. RAF bombers hit bunkers and supply routes, but everyone knows what happens next. Infantry must assault fortified positions. Men must advance through open ground while machine guns fire. This is mountain warfare at its most brutal. 0600 hours. September 13th, 1944. The barrage begins. British 25-pounders fire from positions behind your lines. Shells scream overhead, impacting German bunkers 2,000 meters north. The ground shakes. Smoke and dust obscure the ridgeline. You check your Lee Enfield rifle. 30 rounds in pouches across your chest. 2 grenades. Entrenching tool. Water bottle. The same equipment British infantry carries, but you are not British. You are Greek. You are fighting in Italy. And somewhere, miles away, or perhaps in this very sector, Italian soldiers who invaded your homeland in 1940 are now fighting alongside you against the Germans. 0630 hours. The barrage lifts. Whistles blow. Officers shout orders in Greek. You advance. The terrain is broken ground. Small vineyards, stone walls, scattered farmhouses. Every wall could hide a machine gun nest. Every farmhouse could contain a German observation post. You move in bounds, run, drop, scan, run again. Machine gun fire erupts from a stone farmhouse 300 meters ahead. Bullets crack past your head. You drop behind a low wall. Other soldiers pile in beside you. A corporal yells for the Bren gunner. The Bren opens up, rapid bursts that force the German machine gun to shift position. Your section leader points. A flanking team moves right, using a drainage ditch for cover. You watch them disappear into dead ground. 2 minutes later, grenade explosions. The German machine gun stops firing. You advance again. By noon, the brigade has pushed 1 kilometer into German defenses. Casualties are mounting. Every bunker must be reduced. Every strongpoint must be cleared. The Germans are fighting from prepared positions. You are advancing across open ground. This is what mountain warfare means in 1944. There is no easy route. No flanking maneuver that avoids combat. Just assault after assault until someone breaks. September 14th, 1944. The second day of the offensive. Greek companies assault a ridgeline held by German paratroopers, elite troops who have fought from North Africa to Monte Cassino. They do not retreat easily. Artillery prep begins at dawn. Shells walk up the ridge, targeting bunkers and trench lines. When the barrage lifts, Greek infantry advances. You climb. The slope is steep, 40 degrees in places. Loose rocks shift under your boots. German mortars fire from reverse slope positions you cannot see. Shells explode among the advancing troops. Men fall. Medics scramble to reach the wounded. Halfway up the ridge, a German machine gun opens fire from a concrete bunker built into the hillside. The entire advance stops. Companies pile up behind cover, pinned down, unable to move forward or back. A Greek lieutenant makes a decision. He assembles a four-man assault team, Bren gunner, two riflemen, one man with grenades. The Bren gunner fires long bursts at the bunker slit, suppressing, not destroying, but keeping German heads down. The assault team moves laterally across the slope, using broken ground for cover. You watch from 70 meters away. The team reaches a position above the bunker. One man pulls the pin on a grenade. He waits, counting seconds, then throws it through the bunker's ventilation shaft. The explosion is muffled. Smoke pours from the firing slit. The machine gun stops. The advance continues. By evening, Greek forces hold the ridgeline. German forces have withdrawn to secondary positions. First-day objectives are achieved, but the cost is heavy. Two companies have taken 50% casualties. Chakalotos walks the line that night, visiting positions, checking on his men. He knows what they are thinking. They did not expect this. They expected to fight, but not here. Not in Italy. He tells them what he believes, that liberating Italy from Germany is inseparable from liberating Greece. That every German division held in Italy is a division that cannot reinforce the Balkans, that they are fighting for Greece even when they fight far from home. Some soldiers accept this, some do not, but all of them will fight tomorrow. September 16th, 1944, third day. The brigade assaults German positions on the outskirts of Rimini itself. Urban combat now, houses, streets, rubble. Different battlefield, same brutal mathematics. German forces defend from buildings. Machine gun positions on upper floors cover street approaches. Snipers operate from church towers. Every intersection is a kill zone. Greek infantry adapts. They move through buildings instead of streets, blowing holes through walls, clearing rooms, advancing undercover. British tactics learned in Lebanon, applied in Italian streets. A German strongpoint, a two-story stone building, blocks the advance. Direct assault across the street would be suicide. Artillery cannot be used without destroying the entire block. A Greek sergeant proposes a solution. Use the sewers. 4 men descend into the drainage system beneath the street. They navigate by lamplight through tunnels that reek of sewage and decay. Rats scatter ahead of them. After 20 minutes, they emerge in a basement on the German-held block. They plant explosives at the building's foundation. They retreat through the sewers. The charges detonate. The building partially collapses. German defenders abandon the position. Greek infantry advances through the rubble. By September 19th, German forces are withdrawing from Rimini. The city is not yet fully liberated. Fighting continues in several districts, but the outcome is no longer in doubt. The Gothic Line is broken. Rimini will fall. September 21st, 1944. The last German forces evacuate Rimini. British, Canadian, and Greek troops enter the city from multiple directions. Polish units secure the northern exits. You walk through streets where civilians emerge from basements and shelters. They are Italian. Their nation invaded yours 4 years ago. You have every reason to hate them. But when they see Greek insignia on your uniform, something unexpected happens. They applaud. An old man approaches your column. He speaks broken English. He says, "Thank you. Thank you for freeing us." You do not know how to respond. Your country was invaded by his country. Italian bombers destroyed Greek cities. Italian soldiers killed Greek defenders. But this old man, this civilian, sees you as a liberator, not as an enemy, not as a conqueror, as someone who risked his life to free a city in a nation that invaded his homeland. A woman offers you bread. You have not eaten since morning. You accept it. She smiles. Her eyes are wet. Italian partisans emerge from hiding. They wear red scarves. They fought Germans while Mussolini's fascist regime collapsed. They shake hands with Greek soldiers. Two resistance movements, one Greek, one Italian, meeting in a liberated Italian city. Photographers take pictures. Canadian and British officers organize victory parades. But you are not thinking about parades. You are thinking about your village in Greece. Still occupied, still suffering. You liberated an Italian city while Greeks remain under occupation. The irony cuts both ways. This is the kind of history that gets forgotten. Not because it doesn't matter, but because nobody's telling it. If you believe these stories deserve to be remembered, hit that subscribe and like button. Every subscriber helps us keep rescuing these moments from obscurity. September 22nd, 1944. The battle is over. Rimini is liberated. The 3rd Greek Mountain Brigade has achieved its objectives. Casualties for the 10-day battle are severe. 432 men killed and wounded. 116 Greek soldiers died liberating an Italian city. Another 316 were wounded. But the mission is complete. Allied command holds a ceremony in Rimini's main square. Allied flags fly: British, Canadian, Polish, and Greek. Italian civilians fill the square, cheering as units march past. When the Greek contingent passes, the cheers intensify. Some Italians shout in Greek, broken, badly pronounced, but unmistakable. Zito Ielada. Long live Greece. Greek soldiers do not know how to process this. Some smile, some cry. Some march in silence, faces hard, thinking of home. Chakalotos stands on a reviewing platform beside Canadian and British generals. He watches his men march. 3,377 soldiers who escaped occupation, who trained for years, who fought to liberate a city in the nation that invaded them. He wonders what history will remember about this moment. The Greek Brigade remains in Italy through autumn and winter 1944. They fight in continued operations along the Gothic Line. They assault German mountain positions. They endure cold, rain, and the grinding attrition of mountain warfare. December 1944. Greek forces hold positions in the northern Apennines. Snow falls. Temperatures drop below freezing. Supply lines are stretched thin. German forces launch limited counterattacks to test Allied lines. A Greek outpost, 12 men in a stone farmhouse, faces a German probe. 50 German infantry supported by mortars. The Greeks call for artillery support, but weather grounds observation planes. No fire support is available. The 12 Greeks hold the farmhouse for 6 hours. They fire until ammunition runs low. They fight hand to hand when Germans breach the ground floor. When relief arrives, 7 Greeks are still alive. They have killed or wounded over 20 Germans. This is not the heroic liberation of Rimini. This is the forgotten grinding combat that defines the Italian campaign. Small unit actions, isolated positions, men holding ground because orders say, hold. January 1945. The brigade rotates off the line for rest and refit. They have been in continuous combat since September. Replacements arrive from Greece, men who escaped more recently, who bring news from home. The news is mixed. Allied forces are advancing in the Balkans. Soviet armies are pushing through Romania and Bulgaria. Greece will be liberated soon. But Greece is fracturing politically. Communist resistance groups, Hellas, and nationalist forces are clashing. British troops occupy Athens to prevent civil war. The Greece that soldiers dream of liberating may not exist anymore. Some men in the brigade support Hellas. Some support the government in exile. Some just want the war to end so they can go home. Chakalotos walks a political tightrope. He keeps the brigade focused on its military mission: fight Germans, win battles, stay alive until the war ends. But he knows the real fight is waiting in Greece. March 1945. The brigade returns to combat. German forces are collapsing across Italy. The Gothic Line is broken. Allied forces are advancing toward the Po River, the last natural barrier before the Alps. Greek units participate in the spring offensive. They advance through Italian mountains that remind them of home. Some villages are abandoned. Some welcome liberators. The pattern repeats: advance, fight, clear, advance again. April 1945. German resistance in Italy is crumbling. Mussolini is captured and executed by Italian partisans. German commanders negotiate surrender. May 2nd, 1945. German forces in Italy surrender unconditionally. The war in Italy is over. The 3rd Greek Mountain Brigade has fought for 8 months. They participated in the liberation of Rimini and dozens of smaller towns. They suffered over 600 casualties across the entire Italian campaign. They proved that Greek soldiers could fight anywhere, under any conditions, against any enemy. Now they face a question: what happens next? May 1945. Victory in Europe. Germany surrenders. The war is over. For most Allied soldiers, this means going home. For the 3rd Greek Mountain Brigade, it means uncertainty. Greece is liberated. Soviet forces and partisan groups control the north. British forces control Athens and the south. The government in exile returns to a nation on the brink of civil war. Communist Hellas fighters, who fought Germans for 4 years, refuse to disarm. They believe they earned the right to shape Greece's future through resistance. The government, backed by Britain, demands they surrender weapons and accept monarchist rule. Tensions explode into violence. By late 1945, Greece is at war with itself. The soldiers of the 3rd Greek Mountain Brigade return home to chaos. Some join government forces. Some join communist militias. Some try to stay neutral, to rebuild their lives, forget the war, pretend they can remain outside politics. None of these options work. Greece demands that everyone choose a side. By 1946, the Greek Civil War is fully underway. Former resistance fighters battle government troops. Villages are destroyed. Civilians are caught between sides. The same soldiers who fought together against Italy and Germany now fight each other. Chakalotos remains in the Hellenic army. He tries to navigate political pressures while maintaining professional military standards. Unlike many officers purged during the Civil War, Chakalotos' reputation and competence protect him. He rises through the ranks. In 1951, he is promoted to Lieutenant General and appointed Chief of the Hellenic Army General Staff, the highest military position in Greece. He serves until 1952, attempting to rebuild an army fractured by civil war. The Civil War lasts until 1949. 50,000 Greeks die. Tens of thousands more flee into exile. Again. The survivors are traumatized, bitter, divided. Greece is free from foreign occupation, but the cost of freedom is Greek killing Greek. The irony, the bitter, crushing irony, is that the soldiers who liberated Italian cities could not prevent their own nation from tearing itself apart. History records the Battle of Rimini as a successful Allied operation. British, Canadian, Polish, and Greek forces broke the Gothic Line. The campaign shortened the war in Italy. But history barely mentions the Greeks. Italian histories acknowledge Allied participation. British histories credit Eighth Army. Canadian histories honor their casualties. Polish histories celebrate their contributions. Greek participation is a footnote. This is partly because Greece's civil war overshadowed everything. The nation that defeated Italy in 1940, that produced resistance heroes like Velutiotis and Zervas, that sent soldiers to fight across Europe, that nation descended into fratricide. The world stopped paying attention. But there is another reason the story faded. It did not fit the narrative. World War II is remembered as a story of nations. Germany invaded Poland. Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. America landed at Normandy. The Soviet Union took Berlin. The story of Greeks liberating Italian cities does not fit. It is too complicated, too ironic, too ambiguous. Greek soldiers, whose nation was invaded by Italy, fought to free Italians from German occupation. The invaded became liberators. The victims became heroes in their enemy's land. This story requires nuance. It requires acknowledging that nations are not monoliths, that Italian civilians were not responsible for Mussolini's invasion, that Greek soldiers could hate the Italian state while pitying Italian civilians. That liberation is complicated. Popular history prefers simplicity, good versus evil, clear heroes, obvious villains. The Third Greek Mountain Brigade exists in the grey spaces where history is messy and human. So, the story faded. The veterans aged. The monuments remained in Rimini. A plaque here, a street name there. But the full story, with all its complexity, slipped into archives. Until now. Lieutenant General Thrasivoulos Tsakalotos survives the war and the civil war that follows. After serving as Chief of the Hellenic Army General Staff from 1951 to 1952, he retires from active military service. He lives through Greece's reconstruction, through political upheavals, through decades of peace and tension. He dies in the 1980s. His obituaries mention his distinguished military career. They mention his service as Chief of Staff. They do not emphasize Rimini. Most soldiers of the Third Greek Mountain Brigade scatter after the Civil War. Some emigrate to Australia, Canada, the United States, anywhere but Greece. Some stay and rebuild lives in a nation that wants to forget its trauma. The last verified veteran of the Battle of Rimini died in the early 2000s. With his death, living memory of Greeks liberating Italian cities ended. But monuments remain. In Rimini, a small memorial honors Allied forces who liberated the city. British, Canadian, Polish, and Greek flags are engraved in stone. The inscription is in Italian, English, and Greek, a trilingual acknowledgement of the nations that fought together. It thanks the soldiers who freed Rimini from occupation. Italian schoolchildren visit the memorial on Liberation Day. Teachers explain that Allied soldiers from many nations fought to free Italy. Some students notice the Greek flag. Most do not. In Greece, veterans associations maintain records. Photographs from Italy show young men in British uniforms with Greek insignia, posing in liberated towns, smiling despite exhaustion. Their families keep these photographs. Some frame them. Some store them in boxes. Some do not know what city the photographs show or why it mattered. The story survives in fragments. A Greek historian researching the Civil War finds references to soldiers who fought in Italy. He follows the thread. He discovers the Third Greek Mountain Brigade. He publishes a paper in an academic journal. 50 people read it. An Italian researcher studying Rimini's liberation finds Greek participation mentioned in Canadian archives. She writes an article for a local history magazine. The article mentions that Greeks fought in Italy, but does not explain why this matters. The pieces exist, but they are scattered. They do not form a complete picture. This is how history gets lost, not through destruction or censorship, through neglect, through the gradual dispersal of memory across time and geography until no one remembers the whole story. But some stories refuse to disappear completely. The story of Greeks liberating Italian cities matters because it reveals something true about war and humanity. It shows that nations do not hate nations. Governments go to war. Soldiers fight. Civilians suffer. But the Greek soldier, walking through Rimini in September 1944, does not see an Italian enemy. He sees a civilian grateful for liberation. The Italian woman offering bread to a Greek soldier does not see an avenger. She sees a liberator who risked his life for her freedom. Both recognize something fundamental. They are not each other's enemy. Fascism is the enemy. Occupation is the enemy. War itself is the enemy. This recognition, this brief moment of shared humanity in a liberated Italian city, is worth remembering. It proves that even in the darkest moments of the 20th century's bloodiest conflict, people could choose compassion over vengeance. Greeks could choose to liberate rather than punish. Italians could choose gratitude over shame. The choice mattered then. It matters now. The tragedy is what came after. The civil war that consumed Greece. The political divisions that persist to this day. The failure to preserve peace after achieving victory. The soldiers who liberated Rimini could not save Greece from itself. Perhaps no one could. Perhaps the trauma of occupation, resistance, and war was too deep. But for one autumn in 1944, Greek soldiers proved something important, that the invaded can become liberators, that victims can choose to be heroes, that nations are not defined by their worst moments. The Third Greek Mountain Brigade exists as proof that the complicated, messy, human truth of war is more interesting than the simplified versions history prefers. 3,377 Greeks fought in Italy. They liberated cities. They suffered 432 casualties at Rimini alone. They came home to civil war. Most died in obscurity. But they lived. They fought. And now you know their story. Hit that like button if you believe these stories matter as much as the famous ones everyone already knows. There are hundreds of stories like this, buried, overlooked, waiting to be brought back to life. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. This is what we do. Where are you watching from? Drop your country or city below. If you're Greek, Italian, or from anywhere these stories touch, we'd love to hear your connection. Thank you for standing with us in honoring Lieutenant General Thrasivoulos Chakalotos and the 3,377 soldiers of the Third Greek Mountain Brigade. They fought across Europe. They liberated cities in the nation that invaded them. You've brought their story into the light.